So we got the
All
legal
right.
team here.
Yeah, we are live on YouTube, just so everyone knows.
I see it. Thank you. Is Rick Giroux with us?
I don't see him on yet. No, sir.
Ms. Ordina, you owe me a phone call.
Absolutely. Are you available after this meeting?
No, I'm never available. I took myself out. Did y'all have a good Mother's Day, by the way, all you moms? I hope y'all had a great day yesterday and that your children were nice to you for at least a couple hours.
Yes, Councilmember Shade, you can run, but you can't hide. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, you could throw a rock from where you are to my office, probably. Well, we need Councilman Waring. He's listed to do the invocation for us.
I haven't heard anything from him. I don't know if he's just running a little bit late.
We were together at the Robert Lewis groundbreaking, but that was over at noon, so.
Councilman Appel, I received your text message earlier.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. Hmm.
Chairman Shade, Councilmember Waring has joined.
Okay. I just got a text from Mr. Giroux that they're on another conference call and for us to go ahead, and I see Councilwoman Waring is with us. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the Committee on Real Estate meeting together on this Monday, May the 10th at 2:30 7 p.m. Councilmember Waring, would you do us the honor of an invocation or a moment of silence, whatever is your preference, please, sir.
I will let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come before you, we thank you for all the many blessings that we know that doesn't have to be, but for your amazing grace you provide for your people. Just pray for our city, our state, our country, our world. Please let the goodness flow. Just pray for those less fortunate and help them see a better day. And let us bring forth our talents and abilities as we go about the work of doing the business of the people of our city. These prayers we ask for in your name. Let us all say amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. We have our minutes from the April 26th meeting. I'll take a as amended, by the way.
I'll second.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, ayes.
Aye.
Aye.
The first item of business, Ms. Copeland, you're going to lead us with this very exciting and very clear-cut explanation of these easements for 3 different pieces of property. One is in my backyard on Orange Grove Road, item A of our agenda.
Certainly. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is an easement request from Dominion on 3 separate park locations. 1350 Orange Grove Road, Chisholm Street, the southwest corner, and Calhoun and Ashley on the peninsula. So apparently there are gas pipelines already under the ground, and what Dominion would like to do is go in and essentially replace the casing of those pipes with something called a sacrificial anode, which is a type of metal that would prevent leaking. It apparently corrodes first or last. I'm hoping that Mr. Swikeward's on the line right now, who can give you more scientific explanation for your questions that will naturally follow with this. But these will be underground, and we'll be able to mow and operate as normal on top of these specific sites. And so the request is to authorize the mayor to execute these 3 separate easements.
And these are temporary easements, you say, Julia, or these are permanent easements?
These would be permanent easements so that they can go in and repair anything that needs to be repaired.
Okay. And I like some of the explanation. We saw sacrificial anodes or something like that.
Sacrificial anodes.
Anodes, okay.
I
All right,
learned something new every
I'll entertain a motion
I'll move
to.
for approval.
On number 8.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I just had
Councilmember
a
Jackson.
question, not about the sacrificial scientific stuff, but have these 3 areas received service, and this is just an upgrade or an improvement to the way that they're delivering electricity, or are we doing something brand new?
No, ma'am, these are all in operation presently.
So it's just a better way of doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
And as I understand, Julia, this is not just for power, this is gas as well, and not
Correct.
just, electricity. So, but Councilmember Jackson said electricity. I just want to make sure we're clear. It's other energy sources as well.
Power.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Ms. Copeland, you on number B as well. This is northwest corner of Hagan Avenue and Fishburne Street.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This is the acceptance of a temporary construction easement from the Citadel in order to, it's associated with Stony Field. It's in order to allow us to go in and clear and grade the driveway so that it matches the rest of the construction site.
I'll entertain a motion to adopt B.
Move for approval.
Is there a
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, item C, this is for Mr. McQueenie, I believe. Is this, Chip, are you handling this? Or Sterling?
I believe this is Jane.
Jane?
If,
Hi, everyone.
Let me sure.
Sorry, I was having
Yes,
trouble
oh,
getting
there's
off
Jane.
mute.
Sterling.
There she is.
I'm so sorry. I was struggling with getting off mute. Yes,
We were
sir.
so enamored by Mr. McQueenie's bow tie that we were all confused as well, so.
So what we've got here, this is the James Lewis Jr. Eastside Homes. And so obviously I know we had a big ceremony today. These are still working through some of the last clerical issues with our documentation in order to get to a point where we've got an executable ground lease. So the Fourth Amendment to the ground lease attaches a revised ground lease as an exhibit. I will say with the changes to this ground lease, with the exception of the changes made to section 13, they are largely clerical. So for instance, when this ground lease first went to council, we did not have lenders identified, so the notice provisions were blank, clerical changes of that nature. Also, when this document was initially approved by City Council as a draft, the working name for this project was the Cupper Crest Apartments. So changes other than to section 13 are almost entirely, along those lines. Clerical changes intended to reflect sort of the changing reality since this was first approved in 2019. Section 13 are the changes that were requested by the lender. We've gone over, Chip, Susan, Gianna, and I have gone over these in detail as we were negotiating with Lenders Council on these. I am satisfied that as drafted, I think these are pretty typical market requests from the lender. I will also note that we've got two lenders at play. First, a conventional lender, which I believe will be TD Bank. These were largely requested, however, by the Fannie Mae lender. So in a nutshell, what they are asking for is, number one, to be notified in the event of a default by the tenant under the lease. In the event our tenant does default, they want the ability to step in and cure. And I think from the city's perspective, that's actually a great thing because, if our tenant's not going to cure, we're certainly thrilled that somebody else would want to. Finally, if the tenant does default under its leasehold financing, the lender wants the ability to step into the tenant's shoes and become our ground lessee under this lease, in which event the tenant, they would then become our tenant and operate this project. Again, it would be subject to the affordability covenant. So I think the city, from the city's point of view, that's also a good thing, that we'd have a successor tenant who would keep this project live. So that's sort of the changes in the nutshell. I think City Legal and I have gone through this, and we feel like this is probably something council should be able to approve. But certainly I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Stoney?
Move for
Yes, ma'am.
approval, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for approval.
Mr. Waring?
I'll second it too. I'll second that motion. But I just had she's answered it, but I just want to make sure, as a country boy, I've got full understanding. So in the event of a foreclosure, whoever steps in to cure it or take it over is going to have to adhere to the guidelines of affordability. That's
Correct.
all. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Jackson?
That was going to be my pointed question as well, because I have been part of deals in the past in other places where the lender who cures doesn't hold themselves to the affordability. So I'm trusting we all feel like it's legally upholdable.
We do. So section 1.22 of the ground lease, which will remain, says that the affordability requirements shall continue in full force and effect for the full term of the ground lease. It says any provision or document purporting to decrease, amend, extinguish, or otherwise modify the affordability requirements is void. So.
Okay. Mr. Yoder, anything you want to add to this discussion? And
No, sir. Thank you all for your support.
that's one of the shortest reports we've gotten from you ever. All right. Any further discussions or questions we need to bring up on this modified lease. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving item C on this modified lease, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? The yeses have it. That was item C, Mayor, on our agenda. There's the James Lewis project, which y'all were just at, I understand, and groundbreaking.
Yeah, and somebody might have mentioned, but it was a nice tribute to our former colleague, Councilmember Lewis, and so well deserved. I thought it was very nice, the remarks made by Councilmembers Waring, Jackson, Gregory, and Mitchell, all contributed well.
Nope, well done. Well done. I'm sorry I couldn't join all the day. All right, moving on to item number D. Mr. McQueenie, are you taking this one? Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. This one will be mine, and this one should be pretty easy. This is a declaration of easement over our property. I apologize for the background noise. So the city owns obviously Harmon Field. As you all probably know, we're building a shaft and as well as a Matt Fountain's with us, and connection of the shaft, the underground stormwater conveyance system. And I can show you the picture of what's going on there. For those who have not seen it,
We always like visuals.
Yes, sir.
Particularly on this project. This is always very impressive.
And this is where the easement will go according to the document you have. The reason we do this, very unlikely we would ever sell any portion of Harmon Field, but to the extent we do, we'd like to have something on the record. You know, there's usually a standard exception for easements of record, et cetera. So we try to do this whenever we put drainage facilities within our own property, just in case, you know, down the road something happens. We are looking for sponsors so if you hit a home run into the hole from the park over here, you get a free pizza or something. If anybody knows anybody.
I may have opportunity with the chip shop there.
There you go. That as well, but I'm happy to answer any questions. It's standard form and probably will never need it, but it's a just in case thing.
Let me just ask a question. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Yeah. Mr. McQueenie, I think I heard you say this. I just want to make sure I got it as well. So what's reflected on the screen as property number 201 or lot 201, that's all owned by the city. We own all of this right now.
Yes, sir. And that's the lot right here.
Okay.
The entire lot.
I got it. And so we're just taking an easement to make sure if any subsequent owner comes around, that we're covering it with the easement and don't have to fuss with that at some point in the future. Okay. Very prudent on our part to do that. Mr. Councilman Waring, yes, sir.
Yeah, I kind of thought this goes back a ways. This is when Burke was, you know, being told by the school district there'd be no new Burke. But I remember there was a proposal once where Burke would give up their property to the Citadel. You'd like this, Mayor Tecklenburg. And in particular, the west side of campus would have gone to the Citadel. And Burke would have been built on Harmon Field. But there was provision I think from the Harmon family who gave it to the city, that if it ever ceases to be used for a park, it would revert back to the family. So I don't know, Mr. McQueenie, if you saw any of that, but I remember clearly that came up this was on the Mayor Rally. I was sitting in the meeting with them with the proposal. I think Harmon Field is about 10 acres, and it was thought at the time that Burke wasn't big enough. Citadel wanted to expand. It was a three-way victory party until some clause came up where, you know, Harmon Field's got to remain, you know, recreational use, or it goes back to the city. So we may have two easements on there, Mr. McQueenie, the one you just spoke of and I'm getting ready to vote for, and something else way back down deep in the history of this property.
Yes, sir. And it's also subject to a joint use agreement with Burke right now with the school district, where, you know, the city and the school district have the ability to use each other's facilities under certain terms, which we approved an extension of that maybe a couple of years ago. So I know Burke does use the fields and facilities on this property.
Okay.
Thanks for
It's
that.
got a bunch of protections on it.
Councilman.
Yes, sir.
The historical components of all of this is always important to keep in mind on this. I see Mr. Fountain is on our Zoom call. Matt, is there something we need to add to this discussion?
No, just here if there's any questions, Councilman.
Well, I do have one question. That shaft, does that allow for additional drainage when that got put down for, I guess, going up to Ashley Avenue and all around that area, that the Fishbin and Ashley, Fishbin and something and all that? Will this help out that area?
So this is the end of the President Street tunnel. Is that shaft location? And it is basically all of the surface drainage that ties in all the way up to where the shaft is located is served by the Spring Fishburne project.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, any other questions or discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right. And I think, Mr. McQueen, is this last one yours too? On St. James Church to accept an easement from St. James Church on James Island?
Yes, sir. And this is exactly what it says it is. It'll be a drainage easement. It'll be for the repair and maintenance of the existing sort of area across the Episcopal Church property. And I've also got a map of that this is from county, but this is the church property here. I believe this is, completely blanked out. Bishop Gadsden. And then the plat should be attached to your agenda, but it's, where'd it go? And can you all see the agenda document?
Yep.
Okay. And so this will be the easement area that the city will acquire running. I believe it drains from Camp Road over this way and then back into the river. And Matt, if you have anything to say about that one.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, is that okay if I add a quick comment?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Matt. I think you broke up a little bit on that.
Mr. Chairman, is it okay if I add a quick comment to that?
Yes, sir, please.
So this is also in support of the ongoing project that's sort of a collaboration. It's a county-led project, the collaboration of the city, town of James Island, and county of Charleston for the Camp Road sidewalk. This is basically to allow the sidewalk to go in on the, in this case, it's actually on the south side of the sidewalk, but with support to the new school that's being built, the retirement facility, the church. So it's sort of the entities all working together to acquire the necessary drainage easement for the discharge of the additional water from that sidewalk project out into the marsh.
Very good. Thank you for that.
Move for
Yes,
approval,
ma'am.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, the second.
Second.
And then I do have a
All
quick
those-
question. Can I just,
Yes, ma'am.
thanks. I appreciate Matt answered the majority, or at least for what I was hoping to get on the record, but I do think we might need to make it a little more clear for the record that this is a county-led project, the sidewalks, correct? And basically, we're just playing our part because the church is in the city, right? So that's why and so is Bishop Gadsden. Is that why we're taking the easement?
Yes, so it's a county project being managed by their sales tax group. I think it's under the CTC funding and maybe some LPA funding. I have to double check the exact funding history. It's certainly the project, I think, is at the request of the city, county, and town kind of all collaboratively, even if the county is managing the project. And you're right, the reason we're taking on the easement is that the church is actually within city jurisdiction.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's a highly prized project. I think it was from the original 2004 sales tax. So it's one of the longest standing ones that needs.
Any further questions or discussion as to item E? Okay. All right. Seeing that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. I know we're all gonna be opposed to this annexation from this particular fellow, Mr. Loyola. So do we even bother having a discussion about Exhibit F, Councilmember Waring? All right, we have an annexation for 1453 South Edgewater Drive. All those in favor of recommending this annexation signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Councilmember Shade, we did not have a motion or a second.
Oh, okay.
I'll
We need a
move to
motion.
approve.
All right, is there a second?
I'll
I jumped the gun too fast on this one. I'm sorry.
It was by acclamation, that's why.
I think so. So this is Councilmember Appel, just keep on adding to his treasure trove of more property owners coming into his district.
That's right. The rush to District 11 continues, and we got a nice waterfront lot here in Edgewater Park. Let's keep them coming.
I know.
Edgewater, Riverland Terrace, come on.
All right. All right, now I'll call, there's a motion to approve and there was a second, right? Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, second.
Okay.
That's correct.
All those,
Yeah.
all those say aye if you
Aye.
approve. Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, did I cover all the ground we needed to cover? I don't know why we have such a long gap between this meeting and our Public Works, but we do. So we can take a break for a few moments. And I'll see most of y'all a little bit later this afternoon. There'll be no further business. I'll declare this meeting to be adjourned. See
Okay,
you at 4 o'clock.
all right. Bye-bye.
Councilman Bornak can regale you with how sacrificial anodes work if you'd like.
Nice.
I think we'll pass on that, Mr. Fountain, but thanks for the offer anyhow.